Hey everyone, welcome back to the Archangel 15, coming at you with a very special video today. This one I call TIELL 369. I spell TIELL T-I-E-L-L, unlike the color teal, which is very closely associated to this whole thing. It ties together electromagnetic spectrum, magnetism, many other elements that I brought to you in past work, like my Theory of Everything presentation series. I highly recommend that you watch that if you're interested in this. This one really is bigger than life itself. Like, to be honest with you, I had to invent my own nomenclature. Like, there's not even anything comparable to this. I had to, like I said, kind of like almost invent my own uh, premise and thesis here. I'm guessing there's other people, like the Chinese have the I Ching, the Freemasons are really big into this. It gets into a lot of the stuff with Freemasonry. But I'm going to give you my own unique spin on this. I still have an adrenaline rush from the last presentation I did on egg harvesting. Real, like in the out in front work there. Nobody else talks about this stuff. Also, the fake diseases. Someday maybe I'll be able to actually prove these, or get like other people from other doctors and medical community members from other countries to actually back me on this. I guarantee you, it's just more than celiac disease. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, this is like bigger than life itself. Like I said, really, to be honest with you, like there's no way you could cover all elements of what I'm going to say in one presentation. It's probably going to take me a couple videos to do this, and then after I get past TIELL 369, I'm going to bring the rest of my little secrets of life. And everyone knows that I have remote viewing capabilities. If you watch this channel, maybe you are into it more than other people. I've done work on the psi psychic phenomenon. That's also a good video I'd recommend watching. Definitely the Theory of Everything presentation series. Got to check that out. So I went to Langley one day. My sister recently moved back to Pennsylvania. Towards the end of the trip, I kind of saved this for last. I was like 98 degrees outside, and I walked 5 miles each way to Langley CIA headquarters in Virginia. Right from the metro right to there. I didn't get an Uber or anything, and there was that heat stroke from it. Like, sat down at a picnic bench and just started thinking, like, what exactly goes on in here, like in that building? What are all these cars for? What are all these people for? What are they doing? It's like really just evil stuff. So it took me a couple days for it to kind of like pull it all in, I guess you could say. But in time, I started basically bridging the gap of various pieces of information that I picked up over time, and I'm going to bring it to you just like this. And some may have objections to me giving this information out on a silver platter. Other people may say, this is for people who are truth seekers only, or people who are intelligent enough to and receptive enough and cognizant enough to obtain this information on their own. Given the circumstances in the world right now, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's only going to help uplift human consciousness. So I'm going to bring it to you. Nikola Tesla once said, "The secrets to the universe lie in the numbers 3, 6, and 9." So I guess you could say this is almost like numerology in a sense. They like math is like the universal language of everything. I've gotten into tetragrammaton and grammaton, the mathematical name of God. There's other ones, Allah, Elohim. Gets into linguistics, because it's stuff I've covered like very deep. I could do a 20-hour presentation series just on this. I want to move along. I'm dedicating this presentation to Jordan Maxwell. Great, I guess, kind of falls into conspiracy theorist, truth seeker, author, amazing man. He recently just passed away. You can still find a lot of his work online. He has a site where he has like all of his documents. Really just took you right to the meat portion of understanding. And like, for truth seekers, there was nothing really better. I mean, I obtained a lot of information. It was more of like his methodology of philosophy that I enjoyed and embraced. It was different than everybody else. He was kind of from the old school, so I don't think he was as deeply controlled about others. And he was really big on symbolism. If you ever get to watch his stuff on symbolism, he has one specifically on the hammer and sickle. It's hard to find, but sometimes he talks about it in other videos towards the end or something. So he actually brought David Icke to America, from what I gathered, and he was also friends with Eric von Daniken. I think it's also Zachariah Stitchin. Zachariah Stitchin he was friends with, but the book Chariot of the Gods kind of gets into like this interesting stuff. And David Icke, like I said, okay, so like one time I was with my mother in New York City watching a conference, or like a presentation that David Icke did, and like up until then I thought like all the problems in the world were like the Zionists, like basically like maybe you could say the Chinese, the Zionists, Rothschilds. and he like had this presentation. He said, okay, so these problems in the world, what is the problem? Like is it the Rothschilds? Is it the Chinese? Is it the Russians? Is it the Jewish people? Is it Zionism? Whatever. Is it the Pentagon? He's like, no, 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 and no. He's like, it's none of them. And he explained it. It's like part of this deeper computer program, or like program of human consciousness. And like the only thing you can really liken it to is like prophecy, essentially, like that. Like the people that are acting bad or like acting, they don't even know that they're bad, like part of this cancer frequency. It's like they have no choice. It's like it's weird. It kind of gets into like free will versus manifest destiny. And like I've talked about how I believe certain angelic bloodlines are set here to like basically create control and create the ebb and flow of humanity, and that's why they enslave people like myself. I'm not going to get into that too much. A lot of this stuff I've covered in many other presentations. I've been backing it down a lot. This one, very, very proud to bring you. And so like, yes, David Icke, amazing guy as well. He has a saying, we all have some of the answers, none of us have all the answers. The color, like I said, I say TIELL. It's probably like what kind of bullshit is this? So it's like the color teal, many different shades. My watering can comes all down to love in the end. I've had this for many, many years. Like I found that like anything that was the teal color is like typically like that for a reason. The movie, The Devil Wears Prada. They're talking about like Anna Wintour. She talks about this, the color of cerulean, like almost like aqua water, like near the islands or like maybe the Caribbean or something like that. There's like all these different colors, and I think there's a deeper connection to like the devil and this color and other things. The medical community often uses it. There's for various things. It has a special like channeling to it. Like you can even just have like a little logo on a hat or something that has this color, and you can feel a difference. It's pretty insane. I've talked about that in suppressed medical science videos. So the TIE prefix comes, okay, we go to like this, the saying tie the knot. Okay, the tying the knot is a sacred knot tying ceremony. They don't really do it in this country, but look it up. It's they say it's Celtic, has an origin, and it's Celtic origin, but it really is like deeper into Asian philosophy or Eastern philosophy of like the joining of two families. It's not so much the union of a boy and a girl, it's the union of two families. Just keep that in mind. There's just like they do this before the wedding, and they have like a rope, and they tie the hands together in a figure 8, and they pull it, and it creates an 8. And I've done innumerable things about symbolism in the past. The 8 I could go on and on for, but the Caldasis, oxygen. Please watch my past work if you're interested in symbolism of the number 8. Infinity, the new day, goes on and on and on. Really, really, really cool, amazing stuff. Moving along here. So I'm going to show you, like, the heart of this whole thing comes down to this. Okay, so I've read, one time I attempted to read the book James Clerk Maxwell's Treatise on Magnetism. It's like 2 books. It's like there's only 2 books that I ever had to take back prematurely without reading. One was this, because I didn't understand it. Math was way above my head. To be honest with you, Nikola Tesla and like even Ben Franklin and like many others, everybody like associated with physics or anything of electrical engineering by nature, Gabriel Cron did a torsion tensor analysis. It's all based off Maxwell's work. It almost makes me believe that Maxwell was like an alien and either given this information from like the Library of Alexandria, or like that he was like some kind of incarnate person, or like they like the world ends every once in a while and then they bring this information out, and like a select few group of people are fortunate to have it. But this is the diagram. Okay, this was in the book, and like I just happened before I took the book back to find this and take it back. You can see there, I've showed this in past work. This is like the Freemasons emblem. They decided to put the G, which I'll get into later. He has numbers on him. I have different numbers and a different interpretation of this. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying he's right. Like my basically skewed model of this is going to be much more simplistic than Maxwell's. Maxwell, amazing. You must, if you like science and you like physics, you have to know Maxwell. If you're interested in, if you are good at math, I attempt to get that treatise on magnetism. Also, Christian Huygens has a treatise on light and wave theory. Kind of ties into this electromagnetic spectrum. So you like here, basically, we have TIELL. This is where TIELL 369 comes from. Okay, so we have the 3 at the bottom, we have the 6 and the 9. Okay, like basically keep it simple. There's other like frequencies and everything else we could go into, but we're just going to keep this for now. 3 is the root. It's like when a train goes down the tracks and like it can go either this way or that way. Like the choice, the free will to go right, to go wrong. Okay, so then 6 is like a demonic frequency. It's like the devil. And then the 3 or the 9 is an angelic. An angelic. You see my angel with the Ukrainian tie thing I have on there. I got in Kiev. So yes, the 9 is essentially like the angelic frequency, and it's like these two are just like the yin and the yang, exist in equal opposition to each other, like magnets. Like they have to, or like the world would be in discord. It's like hard drive magnets. Little secret medical science stuff. I talked about the body electric. He didn't talk about this in the book Body Electric, but take some hard, like strong magnets and put them on your body, like I have it like one of my secrets anyhow. But yeah, the 3 or the 6 and the 9 are in equal opposition to each other. And it's the root. The root is the 3. It goes into 6 twice, and it goes into 9 3 times. 3, 3. There's 33 vertebrae in your back. I'm not going to get into the whole Freemasonry stuff. I don't like the Freemasons, and I despise them, and I will fight them to my death. The G in the middle, I believe, stands for grammaton, which is like, there's other interpretations of it, but grammaton, tetragrammaton is like the mathematical name of God in Hebrew. There's other names, like I said, Elohim, Allah. But 2 Timothy 6, like 6, like I said, all this numbers and symbolism keeps coming up. 2 Timothy 6 says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." And if you look at every little small town in the world, who has all the money and like everything, and like essentially like God has destroyed the earth many times over for idolatry behavior. Like it's one of the things that he just absolutely hates is idolatry behavior, whether it's worship of another god, whether it's worship of gold, whether it's worship of money, golden calves, you got it. So then it gets into this like upside down is up, upside up is down, down is up. And then like also in the middle, there's like a pentagram kind of as well. And like if you go to Washington D.C., look at the map, there's a spot, look at the Wilfrid Scott statue. Actually, if you look at my abilities to control the ionosphere and manifest cloud formations in real time, you can see that's where I'm at, in the center, right in the center of the pentagram. If you walk up the street a little bit, you can see, you can like, I think it's U Street. It's the top of the V. If you go there, lay on your back and do the like, "Father, if thou willingest, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, if not my will, thine will be done." Say this. Like there's amazing magical power to it. This is like deep out of Aleister Crowley stuff. So I'm going to keep going here, but I truly believe that when the Messiah comes, it will eliminate this need for the diametrically opposed forces of good and evil. Good will overtake the evil. We will kill and vanquish all the evil in the world, and it will never be even thought of again. Nobody will ever want to go back to that. So, like I said, I mentioned the sacred geometry. It kind of gets into also the positioning of the sun and the moon, like these two eternal forces. Like gets into gravity, other things as well. And I encourage you to go to that Wilfrid Scott statue. Sit on the north side of it, sit on the south side of it, all around. You'll see over time it's slightly shifted a little bit, but it's still pretty close. It's right in front of the White House. It's the same, like, directly in front of the White House, but up many streets. And then there's another, like there's like 2 currents that come out of the earth like this. One is United DC, and other one is near New Zealand area. I have a diagram of this. I'm not going to show you. I've showed you in the past. Take my word for it. There's like where all these currents come together, and there used to be the Australian embassy right at this spot. These people think that they're being slick, and then right up the street from this place is the Scottish Rite Freemasons Masonic Temple Hall, where they probably have like little pedophilia rings and like men in robes and masks and shit, and like all kinds of other stupid stuff. So, like I said, it kind of gets into like deeper element of understanding magnetism and programming. And like what's interesting is when you take broken magnets, they always seem to organize themselves in like strongest to weak, or like the biggest to smallest, like strongest to weakest. I know that's not really that amazing, but it gets deeper into understanding like probably how microchips and like flash memory and other things work. Like it's like a sequences, I guess you could say. per the topic on sequences, like this is all part of like a bigger program of life. There's like there's several things that basically prove the existence of God. One of them is the periodic table of elements. Which everything, like they knew the elements that that weren't even discovered yet before they existed, just because of like the beautiful harmony of everything, like the atomic mass, the electronegativity numbers, the atomic weight, etc. It's like all like in order, perfect. It's like God couldn't, like nobody else could have engineered anything better or amazing themselves. And I've talked about like the 1 and the 8, like how the Caldasis, the sun, number 1 hydrogen, breathes like basically existence to the oxygen, which then we get H2O, water, then we get like this basically life, and like deeper things like that. Like I said, Theory of Everything series. So like with given, okay, so Fibonacci sequence starts with 1, 1, 2, 3, like basically it builds on itself. It's like another proof, like all like the leaves of a plant will always come out in this sequence. Like supposedly this guy Leonardo da Fibonacci, which he gets credit for this, but it really should just be called like something else, like God sequence or something like that. Like this was known about probably by the Chinese thousands of years before Leonardo da Fibonacci put a name on it or something like that. Just like this, what I'm telling you. So like it has to do with replication of like you take a breeding pair of rabbits and like how long it'll take for them, like you can always predict. But then like this is the basis of like artificial intelligence, and like you can basically, when you get into stock trading, you like get into charting, and they use it's really big like the 50 fib and like other things, and you can like essentially extrapolate information into the future, like way into the future, and predict it almost. Like basically take what's given, what's known, and what's unknown, and like bridge the gap between the two, and you'd be amazed at how accurate it is. I mean, amazed. And like if they dumb you down and they like program you on this like TIELL 6, then like it's even easier. They can just control you completely. And like especially like other influences like electropollution. Taught innumerable work on this. Watched my video at the United States Navy Surface Warfare Center. Talked about electropollution in the past. Just drugs, alcohol, music, peer influences, education, etc. Just articulate design in general of like microbiology, like cell replication, cytokinesis, another proof of God. But human microchipping, like it sounds like it's really like, oh, like how's it even possible? But like basically you take that, like I was telling you, like take a phone, put it in your pocket. The phone knows everything about you, knows more about your life than you know about yourself. Okay, then like basically combine that with a frequency generator. Like I said, if I had a lot of money, I could go to North Korea or South Korea, and do the exact same thing. Like I could, like, it's not really as complex as it sounds. They took an EEG machine, put it like basically on your brain synapses in your neurological area, a frequency tuner, and basically say, like they know what language. If you know other languages, it probably screws with this plan. But like they can basically, okay, lights up this area, lights up this area. So like they can basically make like a transponder, like it goes both ways. Like it almost tells them what's going on, and then like basically like they can like input information like essentially, or control you in a sense. And like kind of gets into the whole thing of like, like the human microchipping thing's big. Andrija Puharich, the godfather of parapsychology, was one of the big people that were into this. So I recommend you look up him. But essentially, this aspect is huge. Like I said, after basically, let me boil it down to you. So what I basically gathered is somewhere in the 1940s, like there was a takeover of this whole understanding of the programming of consciousness. Harry Truman, before his farewell address, it's basically, it was like said something about beware of the power, salt and unsalt, the potential for abuse with the military-industrial complex. Basically, after World War II, there was so much infrastructure and business involved with the war machine, and it couldn't just go away overnight. It needed to have something like basically fake wars to keep it going, and like basically a takeover of human consciousness, and like of everything. And basically, a group of evil, limp dick, white Freemason men decided that they wanted to play God. And basically make a world for them and their kids that enslaved everybody else. And I'm not going to get into it anymore. But so another thing, interesting thing too with magnetism, like Bruce Cathy, this guy, Harmonic Conquest of Space. he would have loved talking about this. He died. He was a pilot. He observed that certain areas in the world have an occurrence of more UFO phenomenon. He also said that he was from like New Zealand actually as well, like that other current place I was telling you about. He actually said that like he proved that like nuclear bombs can only be detonated at certain times of the year, basically. Like the sun has to be at a certain angle, and like because of this, the enemy would know ahead of time which like essentially when the nukes would go off. I think it was August 6th, the bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we're like basically past the anniversary of that, and you already know what I think's going on. And so the CIA, okay, so there was a takeover somewhere in like the 40s. Like anything after the 50s is like basically, I mean, I don't want to say it's completely controlled. A lot of it was better than what we have today, but it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. Old Hank Williams is the best. I mean, the absolute best example. Just his music was just like a different tonality to it. Russian composers, Alexander Scriabin, my favorite, Sergei Rachmaninoff, Peter Tchaikovsky. The list goes on and on and on. I just absolutely love the Russian composers. German stuff's good, but it's a little too colonial for my liking. Mozart, not so much. Bach, I like. Chopin, very, very good as well. So anyhow, a lot of people were killed for this. To be honest with you, like people who had knowledge of this knew that like the power that it could have on human consciousness, and it like basically can be manipulated. Like somebody could like become president or whatever. And you notice how like preachers at Christian church, they talk in a monotone voice like this, almost they're trying to scare you and control you, or like, you know, like stuff like that. Like I'm not going to get into it. So like I'm just gonna give you a couple examples here, like TIELL 6 versus TIELL 9. Okay, and like one, like really, I'm gonna keep this simple because you'll start to think about what I'm saying and you'll say, oh my goodness, he's right. Okay, so like I've been to 3 Metallica concerts. I used to love Metallica, at many of their albums. I used to think they were the everything, and basically like they I actually regret sincerely, like I sincerely regret listening to them, and like basically I don't want to say, you know, when you're younger it is what it is, but almost all of Metallica's work is like designed to basically corrupt the youth and like basically like lower the level of consciousness essentially of humanity, and like they had to have known this. So let's bring you a modern one. And like I hate this song, and like this song like does nothing but like basically lowers the consciousness. This is Panic at the Disco, High Hopes. It's like going against the grain. Like it's catchy, but it does nothing. It does nothing to help you. Okay, so like let's back it up a little bit to an amazing man who really had it going on, and they killed him for it. His wife, or his girlfriend, his second girlfriend, was part of CIA, or I believe a CIA plant, and she worked for Disney, Walt Disney World. It says it all. Tupac Shakur, Biggie was great too, but essentially, like he realized that in his life that everybody was controlled. Like just like Chester Bennington, his wife was a former Playboy model. Like they will never let anybody get up on stage in front of a microphone that doesn't have either collateral or controlled. They basically do it in different ways. The big one is pedophilia. They have 3 tiers of people. One is like local level garbage cops and like local level officials. They get like the sloppy seconds of the girls. They basically pass them on to them. Then in the middle, you have like upper level politicians and like some business leaders, and at the top like global banking interests like Swiss banking cartel, and like people that like basically facilitate this. And like if you want to get like big and famous, they make you essentially have sex with pedophilia sex on camera, so that like at any given time if they could just pull the rug out from under you. Pete Rose, they recently just had him back at the Phillies game. What did they start bringing up with him? This is Changes, Tupac Shakur. Listen to the whole song and listen to what he's saying, and like the words he's saying, and like he was speaking the truth.
I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself,
Talks about like respecting women, and like just amazing like stuff. I recommend like also watches him talking about Donald Trump. He has like a separate video he did about Donald Trump. He talked about like the oppressed meeting the oppressor, like this, like, you know, in the end how like basically all this pent up, like all these prisoners were going to eventually like unite for like a revolution of sorts. The oppressed meeting the oppressor, and here we are today. It's like we're right at Civil War almost, and look who's right behind it, Trump. And so I mentioned like, okay, so like, you know, that I really believe that there's a lot of people that were killed. I mentioned the electro polluted areas, like rich people, the electro pollution is much less in the areas where the rich people live than the poor people. And it's like programming human consciousness, like I said, to a lower frequency and channel, so that they're like the Olympic Freemason kids can basically be slave masters and overseers. It's evil. Call it what it is. It's evil. It's not God's plan. God, whoever he or she is, would never, ever, ever condone or support any type of this, you know, just enslavement of the masses. I mean, just kill a whole bunch of people off and take it back to the you know, the 1800s or 1700s, you know, for all that. So yeah, I mentioned the music, and there's many other examples, and it just gets into like a deeper purpose of life. I mentioned before I had this teacher, Dr. Mundy, and he like boiled the whole, like his whole year's course down to like the essence, like love is like the essence of life. And like this is not where I'm just going to build on this. So like, you know, what is the purpose of life? You know, my answer is do what you love with passion. You know, love one woman with passion. Have one or two kids. You know, after you have your kids, the cycle starts over again. You know, get married, tie the knot, the proverbial knot. And like I said, it's like, you know, life starts anew all over again. It's a beautiful thing. And it's like, you know, now we have homosexuality, the big thing, you know, big problem as well. And, you know, polygamy and just people who are unfaithful, open marriages. You know, it's just not good. And you know, be honorable, be faithful, you know, don't steal or cheat. You know, when you say something, mean it, and back it up. Be a man. You know, it all boils down to love and energy. And the golden rule, you know, the great commandment: love yourself as you love others, and do unto others as you do unto yourself. And like, there's several issues with this. You know, like if your neighbor is like some people are just fixated on greed and evil, and like it doesn't pay to be nice to evil people. And like at some point you have to stand and say, listen, I'm gonna be a slave, or I'm gonna be prey to these people. So like you have, like I told you before, I really believe that when the Messiah comes, it'll eradicate the evil in the world. And then you know, I really don't believe that we need the commandments, or laws. A system of, you know, like, or like the system of justice that, you know, brings in the drugs, and then they, you know, come in the back door with the police and then enforce it. And then we need, you know, probation officers, we need rehab facilities, we need prisons, we need courthouses, we need judges, we need lawyers, you know, and then we need people to cut the grass for them because they're such special people. And the Amish pretty much have it right. TIELL, another thing about TIELL, TIELL, is actually the spell. I started looking up TIELL for the hell of it, and the first thing that comes up is TIELL, Netherlands. Like, I've lived out in Amish country, and like if you want to learn about like TIELL 9, come to Amish country. For one, they don't use electric at all. Most of them, they have electric generators. I don't want to say they don't. They do, a lot of them. But like, please come to Amish country and observe the Amish. TIELL 9 all day long. And like I said, I'm fortunate. Like, they have the right answers for everything. Just ask, what do the Amish do in whatever situation? And it's the right answer, pretty much always. And you know, like I said, we don't need laws or commandments. We just, you know, we need love. We need, you know, like I said, if everybody just was good and lived an upright life. The problem is the lies, evil, and greed have been going on for so long that they're just going to continually manifest. Or the people would have to wake up one day and say, my dad was a horrible person. And, or, you know, we drilled oil all these years and we were, you know, polluting the world and breathing in, you know, creating cancer unnecessarily. And when there was, you know, Nikola Tesla had a completely free energy car that didn't need batteries or charging from fossil fuels. Like, you get what I'm saying. I'm probably going to end here. and start with part 2 of TIELL 369. If you're still with me, please stay with me. It's going to keep going and getting good. Thank you, folks. See you in a sec.